Okay, media assets. 3, 2, 1, go. Jay Shrek, I've got Mr. C.H. Smith. I see C.H. Smith on the bottom of the screen. That's why I know I've got him. Welcome to another edition of Finish Strong Podcast, a spiritual solution to a world in crisis. And Charlie, the world's in crisis pretty much every day. 50% of the world is always in crisis. Do you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. I'm getting ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to rip it up today. This is going to be a really, really good podcast.
Well, here's the great news about this is that, and when people say it's a horrible day or this is happening and, the world's in crisis, imagine as an historian, imagine being on a battlefield in World War I in the trenches. Imagine being in a park in Hiroshima when the bombs being dropped. Imagine being in the Civil War and being on a battlefield at Gettysburg. So it's not that bad a day when you look at the perspective of that. Correct?
Exactly. Hey, before we jump right into this, I wanted to recognize our special co-host, Grok from XAI, who's helped us put all this stuff together today. So hopefully it benefits you all.
Well, and a lot of people don't. Grok is from X, correct? That is the AI, right? For
XAI.
Anybody that doesn't know, correct. It's not a expatriate from the football team. It is Grok, not Gronk, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to do the play-by-play. Grok will be our fact checker. And then, of course, you're the best color analyst there is in the podcast business.
Well, that means that the bar has been lowered, and that's hey, I'm okay with that. So for today, I'll be the best I can be, and I'll be the best version. So the world struggles. We have problems. What is your spiritual solution to a world in crisis? What is it? How do you personally run your business?
So the name of the podcast is Finish Strong, right? A world in crisis. You talked about that. So I was thinking about Finish Strong this past week. And a lot of times that seems like so far out, Jeff. It's kind of like, hey, what is my purpose? It's like thinking way far out. It's not attainable, right? When you're thinking about it from just a distance perspective. So I asked myself, I go, what is being successful? What is being a winner on a daily basis? And I think we all want to feel success. We want to feel at the end of the day that we won. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And one thing that helps me in my world of spirituality, or my journey, as you might say, is that when I learn to stay in the day, that I have this 24 hours right now, God's with me and you, right now. And if I stay in this day, there's an old saying, and I won't say it how I heard it, but when you have 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, then you're peeing on today. And there's a little bit of, it's not the most spiritual thing to say, but in a sense it is. I have to focus on today. Whatever I did yesterday is not going to run me in today, and tomorrow's not here. And so when I focus on today and living in today and using the spiritual tools that you're going to tell us about, I live a better life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm shifting gears like you have a little bit behind you. But now that I'm going to be 100% my manager, I report only to God and to my wife. Before, I reported to a board with my last role to God and my wife. So it's been a change for me. So being somebody who's been in the business world, being accountable, I always looked at success more from a business and work perspective. And then now that I've shifted, I don't really know how to gauge success. Does that make sense to you?
Well, we're both corporate America guys, and right?
Yeah.
You always had goals. And what did you spend all your time on? You planned on successes, and successes where you're going to be better than last year. And you're going to sell more, and you're going to do more, and you're going to be more. And, your whole life is encompassed with that like we got to be better. And now I got to help you guys, and we all got to get together and make more money, because that's what makes us successful. And when you lose that, and I've been in this 2 years now, you kind of are at a loss because you're always looking at a spreadsheet. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of gauging there. You know if you're successful or not. You know if you're hitting the number. You know if you're getting positive feedback from your manager, the board, whoever it is, right? So it's easy to really understand. But I never thought about this on what I do on a daily basis. What I would consider success, and like I'm old. It's blowing my mind. Like, why haven't I thought about, hey, what's a checklist success on a daily basis where I feel like I'm successful? And I would like to go through these 10 things for me that make me feel successful with you all. 10, let's call it disciplines for
So
the day.
let's take your first three and click them off 1, 2, 3. Tell us what those three are, and then let's go back into those first three and look at them.
Okay. So my first three is start off your day in meditation, right? That's using a Lexico app. The next one, number 2, is learning. So that's spending some time studying scripture for me specifically. And then number 3, which is an interesting one, solitude, the need for solitude. Those are the first 3 of 10 that I feel that are highly critical for me being successful in a given day.
See, when I look at your list, I can look at those three as almost sometimes doing all of them at the same time. You know, my meditation might be out making a nature walk, you know, and just being in that time with God at that moment. And so, you know, in this world of you're so busy, right? It's easy in my situation to be able to look at those three and be able to do it. But, you know, for a person what do you say to somebody that, man, they got 5 kids and they got all this stuff, and how are they going to take this time to be able to do what you can do, for example?
Well, so that's a great point. So first off, number 1, the meditation piece, I use the Lexico app. It's 10 minutes of meditation. I do this before I even get out of bed. I think that's critical. Once you step out of bed, the game changes, you know? Like, so do your meditation. And I know you incorporate prayer into that. So you could do your meditation, do prayer, right? Boom, you get out of the bed. So then you don't have the world crashing in on you before and looking at your phone and all this stuff. Before you do this, before you get out of bed. If it's pitch dark, who cares? Just turn on the app, pray, get it done. That's how I find that you could at least do meditation and prayer in that first step.
And when do you do Bible study? Where do you throw that in? Is that after? How do you mix that in?
So we're doing combo steps here. I like how you're addressing this, but so I do a solitude walk. I used to do it with my dog. He passed away. And so when I go, I don't have my phone. I don't do anything. I go for a walk for like 30 minutes. I go to a pond or a lake near my house, and I just sit down. I gaze at God's wonder, God's creation. It gets me sound mind. And then that's when I use the Bible YouVersion app, and then I go through I go through scripture. So I find that especially in being practical, right? If a lot of people have animals, they're walking dogs, that's an easy way to do it. But most people I see walking their dog, they have earbuds in, they're talking on their phone, they're reading their phone. It's not really a peaceful walk. And I don't even know if they really enjoyed the dog, quite frankly, but from a dog walker's perspective, I've been dog walking for a while.
You know, what's interesting is that I have a little bit of twist to yours, is that I will challenge anybody out there that is kind of not feeling like they're grounded. The first thing I do, excuse me, is I get out of bed, because I'll sometimes fall asleep in bed doing meditation, and I learned that I needed to get up, right? Second thing I always do is make sure the bed's made. Now, my wife likes it a certain way, so sometimes she does it, but I have a philosophy that anytime that you are walking in your house and your bed is made, then you're probably on a spiritual path. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but the reality of it is it gives you a discipline. There's 2 disciplines that you can start your day with, and that is meditation The second is just making a bed, right? Because what that tells you is you meditated and you prayed and then you make your bed. And so when you go through your house at the end of the day or whenever you do, and you look at that bed, you know you had a good day because you've touched base with God today. And so that'd be the only thing that I would look at differently in my time. So my it's changed my life meditating. But on your list, you have the next three are serve and seeking and praying. So I kind of look at those also as a combination, right? So let's get into, what is your, what's your idea of serve?
Hey, so I want to stop and I'll jump in the serve, but you got me triggered on this making your bed, and I think the military uses that principle of routine as a symbol of discipline every morning and in other areas. So yeah, you're hey, the military does a lot of stuff like right when it comes to discipline. So I think you hit a home run there. I never
Well, it
thought
gives you
about
your
that.
first discipline of the day.
Yeah.
It means that you have already done something that has allowed you to be in the rank of a service, right? You know that you have started your day correctly. People laugh about this, Charlie, but making your bed in the morning will change your life. And then if you throw something as important as prayer and meditation, because I do that combination, if you're looking for a way to balance your life, I promise you it will work. I will promise people that.
Yeah, yeah. I think looking at another data piece here, and I'm citing the UK Mental Health Foundation research in 2023, right? And this is why these three disciplines are very critical. Is let me pull out my handy dandy notes, helpful from Grok here. Is that in a nutshell? The world, 73% of people in a 2 week time period. This is data research from 8,000 individuals, so it's a pretty good survey. 73% of them suffer anxiety. This is the one thing that blew me away. All right, from ages of 18 to 24, 86%. I would consider these young adult kids, college age, getting out. 83% of them experience anxiety, and that anxiety leads to them not doing specific activities. And so over half, 58%, have so much anxiety in their life, the youth, that it's hindering them from actually doing stuff. This is real world stuff.
Well, you triggered a discipline when you talked about that. Is that, I mean, who doesn't feel better when you go to the car wash and you clean your car? Who doesn't feel better when you walk through your house and it's clean? Who doesn't feel better when there's no dirty dishes in the sink? Who doesn't feel better when you're sitting at your desk and it's nice and neat and it's organized and you feel like you have control of what's going on in your world? And those are all things that you have direct correlation with. And I think a lot of that has to do with disciplines that we don't do. What you just said. Well, do I have
Yeah.
anxiety? Because my world's in chaos. Well, how do I know that? Well, look at where you live, right? And so it sounds stupid to say, well, if you get your world more organized, then you're probably going to be a more organized person and you're going to feel better about yourself
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
just basic, I call them spiritual disciplines, is what I
Mm-hmm.
call
Yeah, spiritual disciplines. So you asked about serving. So number 4 on my list, I feel like a winner. I feel like I'm a success at the end of the day when I serve others. So here's my practical thing that I wrote down that I want to do once a day. I want to reach out the day before and intentionally set up a meeting. So this could be a coffee meeting. This could be a phone call. Don't make it too hard and just lean into somebody and serve them. Listen to them. Don't make the call about yourself. Help them, pray for them, whatever it is. Just be there and encourage them. Just, be there for them. Serve them. This is part. Now, you and I have talked about this. I do a lot of other serving. But this is, again, a discipline that I want to do every single day that makes me feel good about myself. It makes me a winner.
You know, it's funny is I call that I have two terms. I have the four cornerstones and I have the six pallbearers, right? The six people in your life, the six guys that are going to walk you to the grave. Do I have six people in my life that I know everything about? They know everything about me,
Mm-hmm.
and or the cornerstone, right? Who are the cornerstone people in my life? Do I have four people
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
can count
Mm-hmm.
on, that I can call, that I call on a regular basis, that I know, right? Because these are the people that I need to be involved in their life, me
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
helping them and them being helping me. And if I have that connection with these men, these four people, let's just go four. We'll go cornerstone instead of pallbearer, right?
Cornerstone. I like that. I like that.
Uh, so
Never heard
do I
that.
have these four gentlemen in my life that one might be a spiritual leader, one might be a biblical leader, one might be just a friend that I
Mm-hmm.
like to golf
Mm-hmm.
with, or whatever it might be. But I have to have four cornerstone people in my life. And why? Because what supports the house is the foundation. And I'm as strong as my foundation. So I need these four men in my life to build the foundation, which I'm going to try to build a spiritual structure on. Make sense?
Yes, totally. Love that. Love it. Fifth celebration or fifth discipline is seeking purpose. Now we could beat this. I mean, there's so many books written about purpose. Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life. So much stuff. Podcast. Shout out to a friend of mine, Dr. Ryan Sinners, has a purpose driven podcast. A lot on this, but for me specifically, I want to spend an hour a day. Now I'm shifting gears in life, so I'm in the seventh inning of nine. So I'm kind of
And I'm
spinning
in
this
eight.
year.
I'm in the eighth inning, at
you're
the end of
you're in
the
it.
eighth. Okay.
You're
Just
in
so
it.
you know that.
I'm in the seventh inning stretch when they're playing music. But so hey, what I what I wanted to do here is spend time every day seeking wisdom, seeking where I'm going in my next, let's call it. I've got several passion projects, and one of them I'm a little bit I need to figure out. So there's some spiritual aspect of research that I need to do, whether it's picking up the phone call, having phone calls, research online, talking to people, et cetera, et cetera. So that seeking piece, I feel is critical.
And I look at that
To
as invested in your community, and that's what you do, right? You build a community, and it's very important. That's part of the foundation, right? Is building community. The community is my foundation with the cornerstone men on all the corners, right? And so I see that exactly, and I know you do that work, which is important. Uh, I have on the list that your number six is praying. Is that accurate?
Yes. So we talked about praying at the beginning of your day, and I guess looking at number six, really, you should pray without seeking. It's more of an ongoing pattern of being connected to God. For me, Jesus, and so I have prayer as number six. It's interesting in these first six disciplines. If you look at these disciplines we're talking about, they're all more spiritual and mental disciplines that we're discussing. The research from Gronk and XAI says that if you do these disciplines, your anxiety levels will come down. I saw it. I told you. I cited that earlier. That anxiety's through the roof. You will be more mentally healthy. You'll contribute to society. There's actually connection to your physical well-being. So many benefits to these types of disciplines.
And you're not talking about the praying that is, God, if you get me out of this, I'll never do this again, right? Not that. Or are you talking about that?
So what is that? You call that the jailbreak
That's the
prayer?
jailhouse prayer, and I've used it on numerous occasions. I had told you a little earlier that, the thing about that's funny is every time I asked, God came, right? Now, I wasn't
Yeah.
spiritually fit enough to be able to change my lifestyle at that era. And, one of the things that I'm going to say about praying that I think a lot of people don't get, Charlie, is that just because you prayed in the morning and meditated in the morning doesn't mean you can't have a prayer at work. Hey,
Mhm.
I have a difficult business meeting coming up. Hey, God, let me see with your eyes, speak with your mouth, and hear with your ear, or hear with your ears, right? So I can ask God for help throughout the day, not just one. And at any time, I can meditate for 30 seconds at my desk, right? And say, hey, God, can you get me focused in? I mean, I don't have to sit in a structured place, and I can pray anywhere at any time during that day if I'm having trouble. So God's to help me all day. It's not a jailhouse thing like I just said, right? It's every day I'm in confusion, or even, hey, thank you, God, for this beautiful day you're giving me.
Mhm.
It
Well,
doesn't
that's
always have to be help me, right?
a great way to start prayer is by thanking God for all the things you should be thankful for, whether they're good or bad. Um, so that being thankful, I would say prayer for me is more proactive. Obviously, reactive would be the jailbreak prayer, but more. This is all about a proactive way versus reactive way. I would say also pray from, or all these disciplines are from a posture of what you can control, and not from a posture of what you can't control. Like the jailbreak prayer is specifically a posture of, I can't control this, God, come in and help me. And I get that, but what I'm talking specifically on this list is more proactive stuff you can control.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so those are basically the spiritual. And then from what I'm reading on your list is then you go into more of a physical, taking care of yourself physically, right? So you have, you know, uh, uh, you have fasting, you have
Mm-hmm.
your diet, basically eating, and then you have exercise, which yet, so what's your physical plan?
So, so these three disciplines, when first off, when I do these disciplines, just like the mental and spiritual piece of the first six disciplines, these disciplines, I feel better at the end of the day. I wake up, I feel better. So for me, it's intermittent fasting. So a lot of people like fasting, don't fast for a day, drink water. Like there's various fasts. So for me specifically, I don't start eating lunch until at least 11 a.m. And then I stop eating by 7 p.m. I typically just have two meals. I don't have any snacks or any of that type of stuff. There's a lot of evidence to fasting is better for your body. If you remember the old trend where like eat every 3 hours thing and your
Yes,
body's
yes.
always insulin's always spiked, that's not good. You need to think about Jeff Schreckler in Kansas on a ranch 100 years ago. There wasn't like, eat every 3 hours. So our bodies aren't meant to metabolize all this food. Therefore, that's part of the one of the issues with diabetes. If you're eating high carbohydrate, sugar foods, your insulin spikes over and over again, and then you become insulin resistant, making you a diabetic. So that's what I do. Obviously, exercise, riding a bike, hiking, whatever your exercise is. And then I specifically eat a low carbohydrate diet with supplements and stuff that I've kind of put together since COVID. I've been pescatarian, I've been vegetarian. I experimented with all sorts of stuff during COVID, actually, with my daughter. Uh, the vegan thing I did for 2 weeks, that's brutal. Never doing that again. But I don't know if you've done any of this stuff,
No,
Jeff.
no vegan stuff. And,
But
and not
but the
there's anything wrong
vegetarian,
with it. It's just not
ve- yeah,
my
vegetarian, like the vegan thing is just it's through the roof. And I've actually heard vegans say that Oreos are vegan. So sometimes the vegan thing just gets a little bit off the hook, and you eat some crazy terrible stuff and probably eat a sleeve of Oreos. But yeah, that's kind of how I break those. Let's call it three physical disciplines each day. Do these disciplines. It makes me feel really good about myself.
well, and I'm seeing a mental and a physical and a spiritual, is what I'm seeing in your plan. And what would you say to people that say, I Charlie, that's great for you, But what about me? What are you going to say to those people? Because what I'm seeing in here, my opinion is that even if you started with just one discipline, right? So let's say I can't do all these, Charlie,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if I see that if I just change one thing on my list of any of this stuff, that I'm going to at least start on a better plan to be able to feel better about myself.
Wow. Well, I would take that and I would bucketize it. So I do one spiritual, one mental, and then one physical. And I'm not going to pick those out for you. I'll shoot that question back to you. But I think you have to, like, these are disciplines. You talked about the discipline of making your bed, right? I remember you used to talk about discipline of doing a cold plunge, and after you've done a cold plunge, like, you're successful because you've done
Everything
this
else is
cold
easy,
plunge.
right? You get in
Everything
the
else is
pool
easy.
and it's freezing. Everything else is easy. I agree.
By the way, I did that, and it's brutal. But I tried to dive in. I tried to go with you. That's not on one of my spiritual disciplines, as you see. But I think if you break it down like this: do Lexico 365 app before you get out of bed. Boom. You've had mental time, and probably during that time, you've also learned some scripture, and then you've also had some prayer around that. That's 10 minutes, Jeff. 10 minutes before you get out of bed. Can't do it before you get out of bed. Open up the app, hit the beginning of the day, boom. Right? The next thing I would say, so you're killing a lot. I want to say that's starting something for you. The next thing I would do is pick one thing out of your diet that I remember when you see. I've known you for a long time. I remember when you stopped drinking Coke. That probably like almost killed you when you switched to iced tea. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
How long did you drink Coke?
Since about 6-7 years ago for my full
No,
run, right?
you're
All the time, right? I that was an addiction to me, was Coke.
yeah. So was smoking cigarettes breaking that, or
Oh, I love that too.
drinking
3 packs
Coke?
a day.
What
People
was
don't
tougher?
realize that's how I
What
live. 3 packs a day.
what was tougher? What was
And I
tougher, or
haven't
were they
smoked now in
equally the
20
same?
years, right? So,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
we've got about 3 minutes to wrap this up. So then how do you close your day? And then we'll get a final.
So then I close my day by taking out the Lexico app again, and there's an end of the day. 10 minutes, right? You get some scripture, you get some meditation in, and then probably you'll close in prayer. And I would just say a simple prayer if you don't sleep, right? A lot of people, we talked about anxiety, cortisol level high causes issues with sleep. I would just ask God to help you sleep through the night, that you can, for me, it was, hey, Jesus, just help me through the night that I can serve my brothers and sisters and however you want me to live tomorrow, that I would show you that I would love you more and that I'd love people, right? But ask God to help you sleep if you have sleep and anxiety issues. These are 3 practical things you could do in a given day, right, to make you feel successful. And I loved how you teed that up and served that up to me, by the way, breaking down this very more complicated 10-point list into three different things in the day.
Well, what I love about your system is it's real similar to my system. I wake up, I pray, I meditate, I ask God for guidance and directions, allow me to be of service to you today. And throughout the day, I stop. And, when I need to, because I'm going to get angry, I'm not going to tell you I'm never going to get angry. And, or there's anxiety or something that happens throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I ask God to stop, guide and direct me. And then at the end of the day, I loved how you said, even as simple as something like sleeping, ask God to help you. I love that, because that's the answer to me, is that you ask God to remove this from you. At the end of the day, I look at the day and I say, there's never a day that it was all bad, right? Or all good. What did I do right? I always like to say that. And then, do I owe an amends to anybody? Is there somebody I need to say, hey, you know what? I didn't mean to say that. And then you ask God, hey, can you remove this and allow me to have a great day? We've got 30 seconds, Mr. Smith. Close us out. What do you want to leave us with in 30 seconds?
I guess my prayer for everybody, first off, thank you for jumping on the pod. And this is an exciting pod. Thank you, Jeff. I would say take some of these disciplines, take one, take two, do it for 40 days. If you can do it for 40 days, take one discipline for 40 days. Once you do 40 days, you've established a habit. You're going to be able to do it for the next year and so forth. This is how you finish strong. This is how you crush the chaos in your life.
Excellent. Trust God, clean house, help others. I appreciate it, Charlie. I'll see you again. Been a great day, and everybody have a good one out there, and we'll catch you again next week. This is the Finish Strong podcast. I'm Jay Streck, and that's C.H. Smith, and we will see you later. Adios, amigos. That was still 30 minutes.